Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that everyone is having an unbelievable week. We're winding down. Hope everything has gone as planned. If not, that's life. Changes and disruptions are par for the course. That's no reason to give up. That's no reason to shut down. That's no reason to give in and turn around. Look, I wasn't actually even planning on doing a video. I came into the office real casual, just really coming to kind of get some things done. And remembered I had saw this petition uh, cross my desk a couple of times yesterday, and I'm like, okay, let me check it out. Yesterday, when I first looked at it, it only had like 1,600 signatures, and they were saying let's go for 2,500. And I just pulled it up again, and it's now at 11,103 signatures. These signatures are a petition to uh, have Kevin Samuels removed from YouTube and Instagram. And anybody that knows me knows there are a couple of things that you're going to know about me that I'm going to talk about now that should be obvious if you followed me for any point of time. I have absolutely no tolerance for any type of negative aggression towards Black women. And I'm not one to give Black women passes, but I do believe that there's a certain way you just treat a woman. I was taught that as a young man growing up. And it's not in any way contingent upon where they are in their particular time. So I don't treat one woman a certain way and another woman a certain way based on how they present themselves. I treat women, Black women specifically, and especially as Black women, regardless of where they are. I'm a true believer that if I handle you a certain way and I do it in a certain way, that impacts how you see yourself. And you might not be carrying yourself in a way that I look at you and say, hey, I would like to see that in our women. But if I treat you that way, you may say, man, why? Nobody's ever spoken to me that way. Nobody's ever handled me that way. You know, all the type of stuff that a lot of these cats that are followers of Kevin Samuels will call being a simp. You know, loving your family, loving women, being chivalrous, opening doors, all the stuff, right? You know, all that stuff now is classified as being a simp. If that's what it is, then you just sign me up for being a simp. I don't have anything to prove about my manhood. I did all that hardcore bull crap early in my life. If I have to stand up and put somebody to the test right now, I'm more than willing to do it, but it's going to be behind a whole lot more than somebody calling me a name. I done got past that. I done proved myself. A lot of these cats still trying to find themselves. That's why it's so easy to go after a woman, because a man who knows who he is doesn't need to attack a woman. A man who knows who he is will put forth such energy and force and representation of himself that any woman that's really truly got her stuff together would recognize it. Now, if we're dealing with people who don't have their stuff together, who don't know they are, that's a healing process that needs to take place. We don't need to talk about mating or any of that. So, but anybody that knows me knows that I'm not really about the stuff that Kevin Samuels does. Not so much that some of the stuff that he says is offline. I have a way that you talk to a woman. That's just me. I have a way that I talk to a man. I don't step to anybody in a crazy way. Definitely not a woman. So that's my issue. Is I literally for a living tell people that they slacking, that they need to do some things, and I never once have to be disrespectful or harsh to get it done. And I'm very effective in what I do. My success rate is off the chain. So I don't believe you have to go that way. Now, I understand all this is entertainment. All this is for likes and stuff like that. My problem is, where are we at to where there's a whole audience of men that are literally lining up to see women get handled? And it makes sense to them. But that's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is this. As much as I don't like it, as much as I ain't with it, I actually have a problem with censorship. I have a problem with telling someone they don't have a right to speak their opinion. I have a problem with censorship and infringing upon someone's constitutional rights to speak. Now, let me read to you why they want to remove Kevin Samuels so we can have context. to have these conversations. It says, with the rise in violence against women, specifically African-American women, YouTuber Kevin Samuels has galvanized a community of men of all races and nationalities in the outspoken hatred of women. Removing this voice of divisive vitriol will allow women to feel safer, not only in public spaces, but in online communities as well. Freedom of speech is a constitutional right for each of us. However, when that speech is loaded with thoughts and threats of violence towards women, manipulation of young women, and even fantasies of death to women, that freedom of speech becomes a prison for all people those thoughts and desires are intended to isolate. Acts of violence, sexual predatory behavior, and even death has been documented as stemming from rhetoric Mr. Samuels and his community of followers has spewed in just the last 12 months alone. Women feel unsafe in the presence of men who identify with his ideology and have even been berated while going about their daily lives. Yes, even while at work, with criticisms that have been spoken directly from Mr. Samuel's mouth. The very words that were spoken on social media platforms have permeated every facet of daily life for unsuspecting women. Removing this leader of hatred against women will bring reprieve for all of us. Okay. Now, some of that stuff I've never heard. I'm not a follower. I don't listen. The stuff that I've been asked to check out and chime in on, I haven't liked. I don't think that it's respectful towards women. I haven't gotten the threat of violence. I haven't gotten the threat of hatred. I haven't gotten that type of deep hatred. Now, I can see how a bunch of people who don't know who they are could take away what he's doing and escalate it to that. Here's the thing. When you open that door, this is what you have to talk about. See, one-on-one, I don't agree with it. But there are a lot of things I don't agree with, and there are a lot of things of people that don't agree with me. We've got to be very careful. And I said this a few years ago when these what they call them when they too old to be Becky's, Kathy's, or whatever. When these Kathy's were showing up and phone calling people for barbecuing and phone call people for selling bottled water and all that stuff like that, and we were embarrassing them, we were putting them on blast, we were getting them fired for their jobs. And I said, you got to be careful with that, because there's the flip side of that. When you voice something that you really feel strongly about and they fire back and they put you on blast and then they ask your boss to fire you, you've always got to be aware of the counter. And if you want a freedom to speak, you got to believe first and foremost that your freedom to speak, or the way you feel about your freedom to speak, is based off of your own belief system. Well, yes, you're going to feel that way about your belief system. The thing that has really, really taught me to grow up over the last 25 years or so is that I've had to learn to respect that while I don't agree with someone, they have a right to feel a certain way. My ability to do that has made me be very strongly opinionated about the LGBT community while still having the respect of a lot of its members, because I'm not being disrespectful in my disagreement, and I'm not sitting up robbing them of their voice. I'm going to speak my truth, and I'm going to let my truth handle itself. The way that I counter Kevin Samuels is not by going around trying to shut him up. It's about leading a life that is representative of what I believe at a level that's producing results that I can sit up and say, well, this is what you do. This is how I've done it. This is the results I've gotten. What results have you gotten? Then we can sit up and say, okay, well, I've done this. Now, my thing is, that's what my grandmother taught me a long time ago. Let the light that you live speak for you. Stop running around screaming, lie, 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 live the truth. The truth will always outshine the lie. The truth will reveal itself, and in its own time, defend itself and stand firm in exposing the lie. You don't have to run around and say it. I think that's a slippery slope. Now, with that being said, any language or any type of content that promotes violence or hostile treatment of any group, but especially Black women, from where I'm standing, there's a problem. KG, point. AD Martin, point. AD Martin, I'm going to put his post up first. Well, I was. Oh, I'm way over on the wrong side. That's what happens when you have multiple screens on your desk. You don't know where your mouse is. Okay. AD Martin made this comment, and I agree 100% of the time. I think that we give him too much press, and I've been guilty of that. I don't listen to him. I don't watch him. But even when we talk about him like we're talking about him now, it's giving him exposure. I did it because Erlene, you got a point too. Some things you can't ignore, and that's why I have addressed it. I think that as a black man, I have a responsibility to actually step up and say, hey, man, I don't think that's cool. I think that one thing as black men we don't do is hold one another accountable, is sit up and say, hey, look. And the thing is, I've never, been negative. I have my issues with him in a bunch of different ways, but I literally predicted Kevin Samuels, not personally, but his archetype, the thing, his prototype. I predicted this was coming back in the 90s. I predicted if we didn't change, if we didn't watch what was going on, that we were going to end up with a man that did not resemble true manhood, that will be leading men to do things and say things and behave in certain ways that wasn't representative of the quintessential black man. Now it's easy to blame women for everything that's wrong. Don't get me wrong, ladies. There's some stuff out there that you need to tighten up on. And we have to have these conversations about that too. Let's also be clear that there are women out there with the same vitriol towards black men. They may not have the platform that Kevin Samuels has, but they have the platform. My thing is, just like AD Martin said, and KG said pretty much the same thing. The best way to counsel Kevin is not listen to him or come up with a better counter argument. In other words, we need someone who's going to be out there being a representation of what we see a black man being, how we believe a black man should respond. I don't believe you sit up and petition someone, create a petition to take someone off of something because they are not in alignment with you. Now, again, this is all in my mindset of saying, okay, he has, I don't agree with his opinions and I don't agree with his approach. I personally never heard him promote violence towards women. I've heard him be very disrespectful. I've heard his little rating system of how he rates women. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's degrading. I think it's counterproductive. I don't think that it actually serves a good purpose. That's not how you build someone up. Like I said, I literally do this for a living, have been doing it for decades and have been very successful. I support my family doing it. And so I tell people on a regular basis, you're not where you need to be, that you're lacking, that your game is slacking, and a bunch of other things. But I do it in a way that is respectful, that has a level of inspiration, has a level of encouragement, and ultimately gives them something to strive towards to without degrading or tearing them down. There's a way to build someone up. Tearing them down is never the way. Degrading them is never the way. This is my professional opinion. This is my opinion based on science. This isn't just about a social narrative of how men handle women, even though a part of me is operating off of that as well. I just believe you handle a woman a certain way, not because of who she is, but because of who you are. There are certain things about me that make me stand out differently than a woman. And because of that, I handle a woman differently. But then again, there's certain way I don't even talk to my boys when we playing and shooting at each other. There are just certain things I don't say to them. There are just certain boundaries you don't cross with people you actually say you care about. Now, you may not care about these women personally because you don't know them, but that should be a certain level of self-love about yourself as a black man that makes you feel a certain way about dealing with any black woman. I come into my office building, and when I pass a black woman, I don't have to know her, but there's a certain way I'm going to engage her. Somewhere I don't know who she is away from this place. I don't know what she is. It doesn't matter what she drove up in. It doesn't matter what she has on. That's just simply a way I'm going to handle a black woman. Now, sometimes, you get stopped and like, you were so kind to me. And there goes the conversation. And I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story, very personal story. And this is the flip side of things. I went through a very difficult time in 2012. I had risen back in the early 2000s to the mid 2000s. I had risen to a very high level. It was off the chain. I was doing almost anything I wanted to do. Made a couple of bad decisions and ended up hitting rock bottom. 2012 was the worst year of my life, bar none. Still today that was the worst year of my life. And I was going through some things, but there was a way I was dealing with it. And I had a way of dealing with it. And people would say, man, you are in denial. You're not acknowledging where you're at. The few people that knew, most people didn't even know, because I would just get up every day and put in work. I knew what I had to do. I was coming back. That was the end of it. But most people didn't know, but a few did. Very few females knew. I wasn't telling. It was some guys that I trusted. I told. It was a couple of females that I knew, that I had known for a long time, that knew who I was. And I just kind of bouncing some things off of them. One of them would handle me in such a way that wasn't reflective of where I was. I mean, literally treated me like a king. And I mean, like, talked to me like a king, gave me reverence like a king. And I was flat on my ass at the time. One day, it was so consistent, and I noticed it to the point that I stopped and asked her. I say, with everything that's going on with me, how is it that you treat me the way you do? Because there were some days, I'm just being honest, there were some days I'm searching myself and I'm trying to find a remnant of what used to be. And I'm trying to remind myself of who I am. And it was just so dark. And this person told me, I'm not seeing you where you're at. I look inside you and see your potential, and I know where you're going, and I know what you're becoming. I'm treating you as the king I see evolving. And that, like, I can't tell you the power that has. And the thing is, we're still cool and everything like that, but that just stuck. My wife handles me not just as the provider, not just as the person who keeps the calm in the house, not just as the person that's the protector in the house. I'm all those things, but she also treats me in this way that is even beyond what I'm currently doing. And it's because she sees it in me. It's powerful. You need to know who you are, first of all. That tells me that the women calling into this guy doesn't know who they are. It tells me that they have their own issues and they don't know who they are. So when they're trying to discover who they are, and they can be offended by women, they can be intimidated by women, they can be hurt by situations in the past that they don't want to come to grips with. It's a lot of issues out there that's leading to this that these guys don't want to talk about. Anytime you got to attack somebody to hold your position, attack somebody to hold just like guys want to call, jump on and say you're a simp because you handling your lady a certain way or handling women a certain way. That says you don't really know who you are, because again, you've got to be a certain way to get your point across. Actually, when you really know who you are, when you have a command of who you are, when you have a command of the knowledge that you possess, when you truly know what's going on, you can sit down and have a communication with a person and never insult them. I can tell you how I feel about what you're saying without having to go and attack, especially when the attack wasn't provoked. Someone expressing their opinion, if they're not sitting down, pushing it directly personally at you, doesn't require you to respond to it at all. That's why I'm never on this guy. I don't show up on people's stuff that I don't agree with, dropping little stuff. Like I see guys showing up on my stuff. If you don't agree with my stuff, just don't show up. But when you show up, it's saying that it's something you can't grapple with on your own. So I don't show up on Kevin Samuel's page and drop anything. I say what I have to say on mine, and I leave it at that. I'm not going to go over there trying to attack him and put whatever is over there. That's his thing. He's got it going on. I'm concerned with why so many men think that that's the way. I'm not saying that there aren't some things out there that some of the women call in have some expectations that are off the chain, and it's a lot of work they need to do. I'm not saying that that's not the case. That's in many cases the case. If you got to call in and ask a man why you can't get a man, you got a problem. I just don't believe in breaking you down and tearing you down and telling you you're a 4 helps you. Now, you know, I might sit up and tell one of my clients, are your expectations in alignment with where you are right now? Maybe you're in a position right now where you need to work on yourself. What are some of the things you know you need to improve on? Have you looked at yourself and taken an introspective examination of who you are and where you are right now and compare that to what you're demanding? And then I'll use analogies. I say, look, after my divorce, I looked up and said, I didn't want to get a divorce again. So I started to ask myself questions of how I ended up there. And I said, okay, first thing is, I didn't even know what I wanted in a woman. I just was moving off of attraction. Hey, this feels good. Hey, look, I want to be married. You want to be married? Let's do this. I said I needed to know a lot. So I started to break down and come up with an idea of what type of woman I had. I said, you want to know what happened when I finally came to a conclusion of the type of woman I wanted? I realized I wasn't the man that could have that type of woman. Yes, I had some of the things that a woman wants, but a real woman is not just going to be moved by money. A real woman is not just going to be impressed by things. They're going to have to be some other things. You're going to have to know how to treat her. You're going to have to know how to handle her. You're going to have to know how to be intimate with her. You're going to have to know how to be able to communicate. One of the things my wife says right now is that she appreciates most about me is the fact that I'm a communicator, that I can communicate. There's never a time she doesn't know what I'm thinking or what bothers me. Okay, so that's that thing right there. So anyway, then I tell her, I said, you know what I had to do? I had to become the man that could have the woman. So I spent the next years working on me so that when that person showed up in my life and I recognize her now because I know what I'm looking for. It's not just the physical attraction. It's all these other things that I've got to have in a woman that's going to make me feel like I've got something. And so I had to sit up and become. So you don't get what you want out of life. You get what you become. You get what you are. If you aren't something, you can't have what that person or that type of person can have. You can't have that type of man, that type of house, that type of job, any of that stuff if you haven't become the type of person that can. So it's really about you, not about anybody else. You've got to go out there and do it. I did all that, said the same thing he said, never once tore the person down. That's the point I'm talking about. Grandma used to say it this way. You get more flies with honey than you do with what? Vinegar. Same thing. It sounds, now for people who have issues with women, what he's doing sounds good. Because he's saying all the stuff they've been wanting to say. So they come there and get, my whole thing is, how is that helping the relationships? And then how is it building something that we need as a community, unity between men and women? It's creating a greater chasm of distrust. And that's what this person on this petition over here is talking about, is a level of distrust. And my thing is, I've always said this, a Black woman should feel safest in the presence of a Black man, not just her man, any man. A Black woman could be feeling awkward because she's in a place where she's the only Black woman, or maybe it's just two of them, and a Black man walk in. At that point in time, that should be such a level of trust between Black men and Black women that they automatically come to a place of ease because there's a Black man present, and they believe that if anything pops off, that Black man's going to stand up for them. That Black man's, and we have got such a long way to go. That's what Black Men Lead is about. That's what the whole Black Men Lead rite of passage thing is about. It's about excuse me, cutting this off. It's about properly socializing young Black males into being strong Black men. I'm gonna see if I can find what I'm looking for here. In the meantime, my thing is this. While I don't agree with Kevin Samuels, definitely not his approach, definitely not in the way he handles women. I think it's a real slippery slope when you start talking about petitioning platforms to take him down, because now you got to be very careful about how you move. Because while I have a great love and appreciation for Black women, I have a very strong opinion about the feminization of Black male image, the emasculation of Black men, the homosexualization of Black men specifically, but homosexualization period, the way homosexuality is being pushed in the Black community. And I speak on it unapologetically. I don't speak on it from a place of hate. I don't hate or fear. That's why I don't buy into the whole homophobic thing. See, as a mental health professional, as a person with a background in psychology, I understand what a phobia is. A phobia is an irrational fear of something. I don't have an irrational fear of any one of those alphabets. I have relationships, family relationships with people who are gay. I have a couple of friends who I have known for years that we met through different things, whether it was serving in the community or whatever, and we remain close. But they understand we don't want to get to talking about lifestyles because you're not going to like where I stand on it. Doesn't mean I don't care for you. I mean, my family, I'm going to love you, fam. I don't agree with how you rolling, but I'm going to love you. So I don't have a hatred for them, but you got to be careful because they will find a way to find the hate in it. And then there you go. Now they're petitioning to have me taken off because I don't agree with them. I would much rather live a lifestyle that sits up and represents how I feel about it. And people can look at it and observe it and then sit up and say, hey, I get it. You know, like some of the things we teach at Black Men Lead are the principles of manhood. A man never harms that. And now you can see why I feel this way. The number one principle number one, a man never harms, mistreats, or disrespects a Black woman, including females of all ages. Number two, takes care of his progeny, which is his offspring. Number three, always has control of his emotions. Big one. Number four, works so that he can provide for his family. Number five, strives to build wealth for his family and offspring. Number six, understands the importance of ownership and business and property. Number seven, is always in a state of learning and growing. Number eight, takes responsibilities for his own actions. Number nine, seeks wisdom and knowledge from men in great situations and conditions. There's a need to grow. Number 10, abides by a standard of excellence, never settling. Number 11, never makes excuses for his failures, making the necessary adjustments to overcome them. This is what we teach. So in essence, you can get understanding why. The very first principle is about not bringing harm to women, not because of who they are, but because of who you are. You always treat people based on who you are. It doesn't mean you let anybody walk over you. It doesn't mean you let anybody mistreat you. It simply means that you carry yourself in such a way that you change moods and energy when you walk in a room. That's the power of knowing who you are. That's the power of rising and standing. King, I think, man, we need to be reasonable. And what we're talking about here, I done actually been in situations like that. If there's a way you treat a woman. Now, what you're talking about is, King says, I'm going to read it per verbatim. I'm going to tell you how foolish I think it is. And I don't mean that I just mean I think it's foolish because now you're reaching. There's a way you treat a woman. Obviously, when a woman steps out of a place at some point in time, you got to be able to protect yourself. So he says, so if a Black woman charges at him with a knife, calls the police on him, etc., what is he to do? Leave out the door with her standing in the way, blocking him? Sounds like you've been through something. I've been there before. I know how difficult that is. I done been in before where I've been in a situation where I've been slapped After I was slapped, I got the police called on me. But what happened is, because what's that? A man always has control of his emotions. That's one of the things we teach, right? Because I never lost control of our emotions. When the cops got there, I was sitting there waiting. I didn't leave the scene. I was sitting there waiting. When they observed me, they were able to see the red place on me. This person was lighter, much lighter than I was, and there were no marks on her. The kids were there, and they were saying, "Dad, mommy hit daddy." And so the cops asked, did I want to press charges? I'm like, no, I just want to be able to get my things and leave. So if you will wait for me and let me do. This person acted such a nut because they couldn't control their emotions. Anybody that's out of line like that will automatically eventually take care of themselves. That the police decided they needed to arrest her. That's a way that you handle yourself. Now, if a person comes at me with a knife, I'm going to defend myself to whatever level I need to make sure I don't get hurt. I'm not saying let somebody harm you. I'm not saying let somebody kill you. I'm not saying being a man means being stupid. I'm saying that there are a bunch of things we do to women we don't have to. There are a bunch of things we say to women we don't have to. I think a bunch of it. Man, I know Dr. T. Hassan Johnson extremely well. I also know Dr. Tommy Curry. I know the work that they've done. I know the situation. I know the research. Bro, I done wrote some of the research they quote. Trust me, this isn't new to me. That's still the way you carry yourself. I admire the work they do in defense of the black man and all of the things that the black man goes through. I've read The Man Not. I mean, that's when I tell you I do my work, I do my work. I may not get down into the nitty gritty of talking about all the statistics and stuff that I've done. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is I don't think Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, from what I know of him, or Dr. Curry would sit up and think that what Kevin Samuels is doing is legit. I think that they would be very outspoken about what black men go through. I know what black men go through. Like I said, I've been there. I've been someone who was targeted. I've been someone who mishandled. I've been someone who was at threat of being harmed. I know that actually the statistics say that black women commit domestic violence at the same rate that black men do. But I also know that when it comes to the extreme end of that violence, that black men cause more devastation because we simply physically can. But so what I'm talking about is intimate partner homicide. Now, that's definitely higher for men than it is for women. But what I'm getting at, here is this. I don't want you to feel as a brother that I'm dismissing black men, but there's a way that you handle. See, a lot of black men are hurting because of what black women have done to them. And see, that's what we're not talking about. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of things that black men, because we don't want to admit when we're in vulnerable situations, don't talk about. So what King has done, I actually commend, because he's talking about situations that are real, that happen. And then you get caught up in it. I don't want to ever sit up and I know sometimes because I'm so vocal about men being a certain way with women, it may seem like I don't feel my brothers. Feel you? Shoot, I've been there. I know what it's like. Before I got the wife I know what it's like to have somebody that you literally are afraid to go to sleep. I know what it's like. That same person that I talked about earlier that put me in that situation and called the cops, that same person at the end of our relationship, I stood up, I said, you know what, with all the things I'm doing, all the things I'm chasing and my visions and my dreams and the things I'm accomplishing, it's like I'm working against you. If I didn't know better, I would swear you are purposely sabotaging my dreams. This person looked me in the face and said, I am. Trust me, I know what it feels like. But what I know is I can go through life dealing with every other woman based on that one. KD, what did I claim? I didn't claim anything that's on there. I never said that the brother did anything but self. It said exactly what I said I have a problem with. degrading women. He did it. Anytime you sit up and tell a woman you a 4, if she said, I thought I was a 6, and she says you're 4, you're degrading her. You're breaking her down from a place she feels she's at. Now, is he telling the truth? Depends on what scale you're using. Everybody's different as far as a physical appearance. That's the thing. Everybody's different. But the thing is, if that's his opinion, that's fine. But there's a way to deliver it to where it has productivity. There's a way that you can talk to a person and say, hey, look, you might want to work on this. Hey, you might want to work on that. Look, I feel you where you're going on this, but from a brother's perspective, this is what brothers are probably saying. That's what I'm sitting up and talking about. My thing is, what gets me is being a brother and, and looking how brothers like to go on attack. I've never seen so many people defend someone that is openly being disrespectful to women. So many men. My thing is, say the same thing you're saying, but say it in a way that it can be received in a way that it can literally be taken in and applied. There are some women that are going off and trying to make the changes that he's saying. But then what I can tell you is, again, from my level of expertise, is if I go off for the wrong reason and do it, meaning we didn't get to the core of why I'm the way I am, and I just go off because somebody told me you should do this and you'll be in a better situation. I'm making the changes for the wrong reasons. There's still going to be problems moving down the line. It's much deeper than that. Why are you right here? Why are you doing this? Let's deal with that. Because see, if she's overweight, why are you overeating? Don't just say if you stop eating so much, and then because she might be so motivated or so embarrassed that she stops eating and she loses the weight, but she didn't lose the weight for the right reason. So at some point, her triggers are going to come back. She's going to start eating again. She'll actually gain the weight back faster than she lost it. And she'll be back at the same place with still no answers. But if we start talking about why you're eating, we get to the core of what her hurt is, what's really going on with her. Now we get change. Same thing on the black side. The thing is, they're not getting it. That's what you don't get, King. They're not getting it. They're trying to get brother off the thing. They're not getting it. That's not how you talk. There's a way. There are two types of communication. Men and women don't communicate the same. You can't communicate to a woman how you communicate to a man. Even if they're sitting up listening, they're not getting it. That's one of the biggest problems in relationships, ideal relationships. The thing is the thing is this. There's a difference between coddling and effective communication. I don't coddle my kids, but I don't talk crazy to them either. I'm very on point. I have a very high standard, and we clash a lot because I will not lower my standard. But not one time do I talk to them. I don't call them stupid. I don't call them ugly. I don't tell them they're trashy. I watch the clothes they're wearing. I'm like, are we really going to try to put that on? And I'm talking about kids who are old enough and go shopping for their own clothes. But I done bought it. Well, you done wasted your money. Why are we not wearing that? There's a way to communicate that you get results. That's proven. We're not moving. A lot of us are moving on feelings. Because we're sitting there saying if that's what it takes, but there's no proof. There are no metrics. There are no statistics. There's no empirical data, whether qualitative or quantitative data out there that says the manner in which he's doing it actually works. Matter of fact, all of the extant data out there on communicating change, it works against him. It doesn't work. Everything that shows that's not how it gets done. I've been doing this for years. Matter of fact, a lot of people are going to have a problem with it because that's how they've been talked to in the past. So a lot of them are going to be triggered. A lot of them are going to have to end up dealing with trauma. Again, there's a difference between coddling, being straightforward, and being a jerk. Being a jerk don't mean you shooting straight. It means you're being a jerk. Because I can tell you off your game without being a jerk. I do it for a living and I get results.
So you can't tell me that's the only way it can be done, because you're talking to somebody who does it every day and gets results. I do not coddle, definitely do not coddle my female clients. Now, I can sit up and have a conversation with my male clients, especially the black ones, on a whole other level, because we talk the same. We got the same natural lingo and approach. We're naturally straightforward. Women are not naturally straightforward. Women have a 50-minute conversation about a 2-second dilemma. That's just how they are. And you've got to find a way to navigate that. Just because your mind isn't wired to go that way and you don't get it, don't mean that you can just sit up and say, well, since I don't get it, that's stupid. A big part of couples that come to me is because of communication. He thinks he can talk to that way. She thinks she can have a 50-minute conversation with him about something. He just wants to hear, what do you want me to do? And there's this thing is. So my whole thing is, are we really getting something or getting somewhere? And this isn't even why I came to talk. I came to sit up and say, I don't believe that the petition to take him off is the thing to do. I don't support it. I don't agree with what he does. I don't agree with how he does it, but I agree. I say he's got a right to do it. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. If you don't believe in it, don't sit up and deal with the people who believe in it. Stop dealing. If I do it. When a brother sits up and says, man, that Kevin Samuel, I'm like, all right, dude, I'm not gonna sit up there and tell you I'm cool with the way you rolling. I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it. No hard feelings. I'm gonna be in a place that I feel is positive and in building and working on what I want to work on. Most of this stuff that's happening is divisive. Most of the stuff that's going on is divisive. Women out there doing the same thing too. They just don't have the platform. There's a couple of them out there that I ran across that just can't wait for brothers to slip up to go after them. They out there too. This isn't just Kevin Samuels. It isn't just all this other stuff. It's two sides attacking, and you get no results. Oh. Now, Earlene, you got a point. This is the other thing, the point I was going to make. The petition ain't going to work no way. The petition is not going to work. I'm going to tell you why the petition is not going to work. In order for a petition to have any type of gravity or leverage, you're going to have a petition with 4 times the number of signatures as he has subscribers, because this is business and he represents revenue for both YouTube and Instagram. So if you don't have enough signatures, and 11,000 doesn't even come close, the dude is got subscribers. So you got to have 4 times, 2 or 3, 4 times the amount of subscribers that he has. You got to have signatures that say we're going to take him off, because that's revenue being taken away. And the reason I say 3 and 4 times, because there are a bunch of people who are signing it that they know they've done the research. See, they're like me. They do research. They're actually looking in this. King, I could care less about white women. What he does with white women and all that stuff means absolutely nothing to me. I'm concerned only about my people right now. I don't have the room to move and be concerned with what's going on with white women. That's their problem. They got white men that are ultimately cut for them. Cross one of them and find out what'll happen. So I don't need to defend white women. I ain't sitting up there worried about what they doing. But check this out. Here's the thing. This is why you got to have 3 and 4 times the signatures. It's because they've done their work. They know the research. They got the data that even though certain people are signing the petition, there's a certain percentage of them that will still tune in and listen to YouTube. In other words, they're not going to stop their YouTube activity because of Kevin Samuels. And that's actually probably the majority. Very few people who sign that are actually going to sit up and say, if they don't take him off, I'm not dealing with YouTube anymore. So then that petition is more about just building more energy. And the thing is, someone on this said, and I haven't been able to keep up, people are chiming in so quickly. That I haven't been. The best thing to do is, if you don't like what dude is doing, do something different. And I actually think that if you had more men out there doing something different in that lane, you know, in the type of way that he's doing it, I think you would actually have less of a concern about what he's doing. It will have less of an impact. Here's the problem, though, and we got to be honest about it if we're gonna really truly do anything, is that type of stuff don't sell unless you're doing the type of stuff that one of the brothers mentioned him earlier, the other cat that gasses up ladies and then out there doing a whole different thing. That kind of bull crap, that's not helping either. That's just the extreme other side of the bull crap. It's all bull crap. You know, can't think of dude's name. I say my life. Derek Jackson. Okay, he over there, he gassing up. Don't let a man do this. Don't let a man do that. And then it's this to here. You should know your worth and all this other bull crap. The truth of the matter is, this is what I can tell you. Not just about women, but about people, period. I don't know what results you're talking about, but there's no studies on what he's done. So the results are anecdotal and observation at best. People keep talking about results. There's no study on what he's did. There are plenty of studies on properly addressing issues that show how beneficial it is. And there are plenty of studies that show the manner in which you communicate something to someone will have a massive impact on the outcome of what they actually end up doing. There's plenty of results and studies on that. There's no studies on what this dude is doing. Matter of fact, all the studies that are out there show that the manner in which he's doing it is having more devastating impact than it is a positive one. But we're not going to get into that because everybody's going to have their feelings about it. Here's the thing that you got to sit up and you got to look at. That whether it's Derek Jackson on one end, Kevin Samuels on the other end, the bottom line is this is what I've discovered in my work. And it's this. I don't have to tell a woman or a man what they shouldn't do, what they should accept, how they should move when they discover who they are. When you're having an identity crisis, somebody has to tell you, don't let him treat you like that. Somebody has to tell you, man, you letting her cheat on you. You letting her handle you that way. Why? Because he doesn't know who he is. He hasn't truly stepped into who he is. When you know who you are and you understand the value you bring to the world, your value dictates what you will accept. You go off into a car dealership. There's an MSRP on it. And then there's the price they'll actually accept. The value isn't the MSRP. The value is the lowest price that they're willing to accept. The same thing with life. When you know who you truly are and you have an understanding, that's just certain stuff you're not going to take. I don't have to sit up and beg a woman to do anything. When I determine that, okay, you're operating outside of the scope of what I'm willing to tolerate, I bounce. That's period. Just like I said with that first situation, when I realized what was going on, I bounced. And there are other situations since then. I look at it. If you cannot treat me the way I want to be treated, I'm not sticking around. Nobody had to tell me to leave. I know what I'm worth. It's when someone is still struggling with who they are that you got to tell that to. So instead of telling a person what they shouldn't do or how they shouldn't do or what they need, show them what they really are. I mean, beyond all the failures, beyond all that other stuff, what you have inside of you, what you're capable of, expose them to something better that they can actually strive towards and become. Get them focused on that. Get them really centered on who they are. You don't have to tell them all that. And then they will simply say, man, you know what? I'm not in this place. I don't have to tell a woman she's a 3 or a 4 to know that she can't get to me. There's a way that I'm going to carry myself. There's a certain way I'm going to talk. There's a certain thing in conversations I'm going to have that's going to make her uncomfortable. That's going to make her say, man, wait a minute. I'm not there yet. And then they may ask me, well, hey, what's going on? But that's me being me. I don't have to do anything but be the best me possible at any given time. And I represent that. Now, my whole thing is for those people who feel like you got to talk to somebody sideways to get your point across, do you? I'm not with that, especially at this age I am now. Now, you'd have called me 30 years ago, I'm ready to sit up there and go anyway. And I didn't do a whole lot. One thing my grandfather taught me a long time ago, and I'm still that way now. I'm not going to do a whole lot of spit boxing. You don't feel me, I don't feel you, what you want to do. If it ain't about that, we ain't even got to do all that talking because it ain't about nothing but talk. So if your talk isn't backed by action, It's just that. And see, for every word I spit here, there's so much work that I've already put in with people, in my writing, in my books, and everything else. And here's the final thing on this. I'm not going to agree on everything with anybody. Not just this dude. No matter who you put in front of me, there are going to be some things I don't agree with. Some things aren't worth addressing. Some things need to be addressed one-on-one in person. Some things I just look at and will call out. And it doesn't matter who they're doing. Like, for instance, the way some of the sport, like people like Stephen A. Smith, the way they handle some of the athletes, and these are men I'm defending. The way that they come at them and the way that they sit up and represent white supremacy and the way that they handle these athletes, I've called that out. I believe it has to be called out. Not because I want to be confrontational, but because as a man, I'm not going to stand there and see that and not say anything. Because I know where it's coming from. I know that you're not representing us. You're just a face that looks like us that they put out to try to sit up and create a narrative and a message. I'm going to call it out. I don't have the platform as big as yours, but I'm going to still call it out. That's just who I am. So I don't have to agree with anybody. They don't have to agree with me. I'm going to do the best I can from where I'm sitting. I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. Herc, I mentioned that at the beginning. I don't know how long you've been on here, but I mentioned that at the beginning. This isn't a melee on dude. I've said from the beginning several times, I don't believe that that this petition should have been started, but it's not going to get anywhere. But I don't believe it should have been started. And I also acknowledge there are a bunch of women out there, black women that hate black men and that are out there and being just as vitriolic, if not worse, than Kevin Samuels. The difference is dude has a platform. Dude is doing it at a level that's, if you're going to talk about a business side of things, that's doing it very successfully. So that is just creating a lot more situation where a lot of people are not really upset with what he's doing. They're upset with his success. And I admit that. My whole thing is I don't want nobody to fail, but I'm going to call something based on how I see it. I don't want anybody to fail. I'm not in anybody's pockets. If you're successful, get your paper. We need more black people getting that paper, but I don't like to see black people get their paper at the expense of other black people. And so I'm going to say what I got to say. But my thing is, just like people have said, there are a bunch of women out there, black women, that are hating on black men. I mean, crazy. It's the black man's fault for every damn thing. And like the brother said, I don't see anybody out there. I don't see anybody out there petitioning to get them taken off. My whole thing is, I do believe our sisters have a right to feel safe. I haven't personally seen anything this brother says that says you should harm a black woman physically. Now, do I think some of the things that are being said can be emotionally damaging and mentally damaging? I do think it. You don't know the fragility of a person's emotional state or mental state. So you got to be careful how you handle people. To me, anybody that calls in and asks the other sex what they should be doing to get them is someone that really needs to be working on self on any level. So to me, that's a fragile state right off the bat. Is I'm not calling no woman asking what I need to do to get a woman. Because ultimately I need to know who I am and know what I'm capable of. And that is important. It's so important. What we really need to look at, and then I'll be done. What we really need to look at here is the fact that we have allowed a system to create dissension within our ranks, specifically set around gender, and that we have bought into so much that we have gotten to a point that we're more focused on defending ourselves against our counterparts than we are mending fences and building. And don't get me wrong, some of them are so out there and so far gone, you can't deal with them. I understand that. You cannot engage every person. I tell you what, I have a level of standard that I want to live my life as a man. I want to have a certain mindset when I'm around women. I want to have a certain way I move when I'm around women. If I get around a woman whose behavior, energy, and mindset challenges that, I simply get from around her. She's not allowed to be in my space. Any woman that can't respect my manhood cannot be in my space. I'm not finna check her. I'm not finna talk all crazy to her. I'm not finna get out, because the energy it takes to do that is robbing me of my peace, and I'm protecting my peace at all costs. So what I do is I'm looking, oh, that's how I can't be around you. Same thing with cats that's all over the place, that's got all this negative energy, that don't know who they mad at, but they mad. I can't be around you. If you need my help, let me know. If you're really serious about working on yourself, let me know, and we'll get it fixed. But my whole thing is, we spending a lot of time defending ourselves in spaces we really don't have to, because if you sit up and you create a circle and an environment that encases you, you emit an energy that draws the right people to you. If you got people that's acting a fool in your circle, what's drawing them there? What's drawing the negative energy that's got you on 10 all the time? I know about it because I used to be there. You have a responsibility to yourself to protect your peace, to get into a place that you protect. In other words, if you can't treat me the way I want to be treated, I'm not finna beg you. I'm not finna tell you what you need to do. I'm not finna show you. I'm not finna try to explain to you why you treat. I'm just going to simply remove you from the equation. That'll stop so much of that, because what you'll start to find is, as you start to protect that peace and you start to build a certain type of energy, what happens is you're going to find less and less people in there that make you feel a certain way, and you can really truly be at peace, and you can feel what it is to love not just yourself but the other people around you. The problem is right now we're on edge because everybody's making everybody feel some kind of way. I ain't letting nobody in my circle that make me feel some kind of way. Raise your standards to a level. All raising your standards is raising your standards. When you raise your standards, you lower your tolerance. The more you raise your standards, the less you're willing to accept. The more you raise your standards is you're going to sit up and say, I'm not dealing with that, and keep it moving. I don't have to explain to you why I'm not dealing with it. Figure it out with the next person. I ain't got time to explain that to you. Not at this age. If you don't know, go figure it out. But I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to deal with this in business. I'm not going to deal with it. I don't deal with it at home. I'm not going to deal with it with my homeboys. There's a certain level of respect I demand. If you can't give it to me, we ain't got to fight about it. You can be you. I'm going to be me. We just not going to be that around each other, because I am not going to tolerate it. That is something that you have to be willing to do. I'm not going to move myself in a place that makes me uncomfortable to make other people uncomfortable around me. Now, that part I get. I get that. I just believe that there's a way you handle people. And if I can't handle you the way that I feel I need to handle you, then you don't need to be around me. I'm not going to get pulled out of my space just so you can be in it. I hope you get what I'm saying. I got a way I move with people at this point in my life. And so if you pull me out of that space, can I get rowdy? That's always going to be in me. And like I said, it don't take me much to go there. But what gets me there now is different. Used to be you said the wrong thing to me. It's time for us to deal. I want to touch you. I don't want to talk. I want to touch you. Let's get it squared away. Somebody got to feel this. And that was the way it was then. Now, if you're not messing with my family, you're not messing with my money, then it ain't a whole lot. You ain't worth pulling me out, because I understand that the system's waiting on me to get out of whack so the system can handle me. So for me to get out of whack, it's got to be something worth it. How somebody feels about me, what somebody said about me, all that bullcrap doesn't matter to me. Stop letting so much matter to you, and that'll be a lot less animosity between you and other people. I know it's some raggedy people out there, male and female. They don't need to be in my circle, because I can't tolerate it. And it won't be long before they make me check them. And then there's pulling me out of my space. Nope. Y'all going over there and do your raggedy stuff. I'm over here with the building stuff. You want to know how to build? Come holler at me. And then there's some people who you got to teach and then send back over there because they learning, but they ain't ready yet. So you teach them and then you send them back with the raggedy. And eventually they will learn so much that they will no longer be comfortable in the raggedy. Then they'll come over and they will adjust what little raggedy they have left, put it to the side when dealing with you because they understand the importance of getting what you got. Something my mentor taught me a long time ago. I'm going to say this and I'm done. He who has the goal makes the rules. He who has the goal makes the rules. When you have the goal, you get to dictate and leverage how people get what you have, those that want it. So my whole thing is whether male or female, if you want something better than what you have and you want to be treated a certain way, you got to have the goal. What does that mean? You got to have the things of value that the people around you want. Sometimes it's just peace. Peace can be gold to the right person. Sometimes it's knowledge. Knowledge can be gold to the right person. But when you got the goal, like people always tell me, you don't like wearing suits. How you going to be a businessman? I got the goal. I got what they want. You want to change your life, you got to come to me. And this is how I am. I'm good at closing deals. I'm a beast at closing deals. So when I walk in the boardroom, don't worry about the hoodie and the cap. Can I get the deal closed? Absolutely. Because why? I understand the psychology of closing deals. I've been brought in to negotiate deals because I understand it. What am I saying? I'm saying that when you get the goal, you get to dictate what happens around you. So you get people around you treating you the way you want to be treated. You ain't got to fight as hard to make people behave the way you want them to. And finally, if somebody's coming at you and they aren't what you need them to be around you, just let them keep moving. That's all you got to do. Look, on that note, I'm out of here. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on here. I'm challenging you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm out. Don't forget to show some love and support. The way you can support is always going to be in the description boxes, also in the chat stream at different points and places. Look, I'm ready to get out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day. It's been great talking to you. Again, my final point and stance of this whole video is I don't think that there should be a petition to remove dude. I don't agree with him. I don't roll with him, but I don't think that that's the route to take. That's my opinion. I think that you want something different, you create it. Instead of whining and complaining about what the other person is doing, do something different. Make a new lane that provides value to women who are really, truly trying to do something with themselves. Do that. Shit, if I wasn't so busy, I'd do it. That's a lot of work. Now, people who come to me, male or female, going to get it because that's what they're coming for. But creating a whole platform that's all we talk about, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. But that's the option. It's so easy to do something. Why sit up and be over on somebody else's stuff? Why people? Like I said, I've had people send me clips. That's the only thing I've seen of what this guy does. I haven't taken time to go sit up and ride his job and watch his stuff because what I've seen I don't like. So what do? I don't go do it. That's all. You know, if I see something that says specifically, I'm going to address it. Probably not as much as I did when I first saw him. I just found out about dude. And I've probably did 3 or 4 videos over the course of 3 or 4 months of stuff that I've heard. Then it's like, okay, it gets old. Dude is who he is. I don't even stop anymore and address it on other social media platforms anymore. Dude is who he is. There are going to be those who can feel him and relate to him. And there are going to be those who can't stand him. That's life. I'm pretty sure I got the same thing. There's some people who can't stand me, don't like me, don't agree with me. And there are other people who really think, hey, man, I like what this guy is doing. The people I can ride with, I ride with. The people I can't. Those that don't like me, that's their prerogative. I'm not out here to get your liking anyway. I didn't start what I started to get anybody to like me. I started what I started to share knowledge, to be an instrument of empowerment. And sometimes that means ticking people off. So I get it. I just tick people off differently, but I get it. So I'm not saying matter of fact, I am saying he shouldn't be removed. If he is ever shut down, should be shut down because black men and black women actually get this shit figured out, and we are no longer at odds with each other. Then we won't have a reason for that. But until then, let those who flow that way flow, and others flow to something that's more on the line of what they believe. On that note, I'm out.